What's going on, guys? Welcome to another one of Black Iron's battles. Today we have a 1 versus 1 custom match for you, where I am facing off against the mighty Turin. Now today we are actually playing this 1 versus 1 on the Radious mod. This includes the Radious unit pack, which gives over 200 new units to all of the various factions. I am playing the Beastmen, led by Khazrak One Eye. We are facing off against our arch enemies, the Empire, led by Boris Todbringer. Now we'd like to showcase a lot of the different new units for you today, so I just wanted to first start off by showing you these Gore Herd with great weapons. The Radius mod adds quite a few different variants to the different units. As you see here, we've got Bestigor Spear Herd, we've got some super cool Pestigors which come with a poison attack and melee defense that is super high. We've got these Corn Gores, which are dual wielding damage dealer Gores. There's just tons of modifications to these units on the mod. Now, if you look up here, you'll see that we've got all sorts of different Minotaur modifications. We've got these Corn Bulls, we've got Plague Bulls, we've got one different set of bulls dedicated to each one of the Chaos Gods. Additionally, we have some Poison Ungor Hunters up here. These are modified hunter models. They have poison attacks, and they'll just be blasting down here into the valley as much as I possibly can get them to. If you look over here on the right, we've got some more Bestigor Spear Herd. That gives the Bestigors an anti-large. These are very elite units, shielded spears. You'll see over here we've got some Slangors, we've got some Sandgors. These dedicated to siege. There's just tons and tons of cool new units that are available for all these various factions. You'll see here we have a regular Cygor, but if you notice, each one of these units has additionally been balanced. The spells have been balanced. So the things that we're bringing may be a little bit different than what you're used to. You'll notice over here on the right, I've vanguarded a couple of Gore Hoofs. These are fun. Bestial Cavalry, they've got shields, they've got anti-large. These guys are going to come in and do some major damage with these Chaos Warhounds, poisoning the units they're attacking. Finally, in the back here, we do have two Bray Shamans. We've got a Bray Shaman of Beast, and we've also got a Bray Shaman of Wild. This is just so that we can constantly spam the AoE damage spells, hopefully on these big unit clumps, because this is a 38 on 36 battle. We brought in 40,000 gold, so there was just tons of money to play with, and this allowed us to bring lots of different units to showcase. If you look here, he's got some Nuln Engineers. These are very cool missile infantry. They've got repeating rifles. They look like mini Gatling guns almost. Additionally, he's got some Hammers of Sigmar. These are elite shielded infantry. They do magic damage, and they have 64 melee defense. That is just a huge number for the melee defense. Additionally, he's got these different veteran halberders, and over here he's got a unit of huntsmen along with a mortar, and they are guarded by a unit of spearmen. These units up here on the back cliffs, they're just going to do a ton of damage. Additionally, he's got a Sunmaker. Each one of his artillery units is just protected by spears. Overall, it is just very, very cool. You'll see he's got a steam tank. He's got a Grey Wizard here. He's brought a whole bunch of different spells with this Grey Wizard. I mean, it looks like he's got Pit of Shades. He's also got the Penumbral Pendulum. I mean, this is just going to do tons of damage to my clumped up units. If we look up here at front, he's got the Warrior Priest of Ulrich. They have the two-handed hammers. These guys, these Knights of Moor, have halberds. I mean, there's just even some infantries with grenade launchers up here. There is just tons of units that are added to the game. These armored swordsmen are just up here in the front, and there is just a whole bunch of cool new stuff that's been added. So if we take an overarching look at the battlefield, you can tell that the enemy Turin, he's brought 2,400 troops. However, I've only brought 2,000, so we are going to have to do a major amount of damage to this guy to make up for that lack of troop count. If you look here at Boris, they brought him on a flying mount, and his mobility is probably going to help him out a lot in this huge, multifaceted battle. So before I get too long-winded here, we'll go ahead and get this battle started. Right off the bat, you'll see that there is just tons of ranged fire coming in off of these cliffs. But I do manage to get these these plague bulls and all of these different modified Minotaur units right into battle right off the bat. They're charging into these warrior priests of Sigmar. Even though they've taken a good amount of damage from the ranged units before they came in, they are able to just start getting massive amounts of kills on these units right off the bat. You'll see that AoE attack, and you'll see that as each one of these cool units engages, we are going to get great charges on the enemy. Look at this Gorbel just smashing right through. Now, if you look, these armored swordsmen he's brought are more like fodder units. They don't have super great stats. They are pretty good defensively, so they are just going to be able to hold my beastmen in place right here in the middle, as these archers and different ranged units just fire in from above, and they are just having a great look at these tall, monstrous units, which are taking massive amounts of fire. You see that the Sunmaker is just blasting in. It's trying to hit Khazrak, and although it won't do very much damage, each one of these spells and Sunmakers and all these mortar rounds are just causing slow amounts of damage to each one of these units that I'm holding in the rear, which I'm trying to conserve some troops for the later part of the battle. If you look over here on the right, my ranged units are actually managing to get some kills here, although I did not bring as much range as him, so he is just using these firing lines. I mean, you can see them just firing at those monstrous units over the top of the battle, and these long rifles are just doing massive amounts of damage to my monstrous units as they're getting away from the obstruction. You'll see here that here is already a broken warrior priest of Sigmar. There's broken groups of spearmen. I mean, there is a ton of broken groups over here. And as I try to bring these Chaos Warhounds and these different units of Gore Hoofs here through the back, I've been intercepted by Knights Hammers of Sigmar. However, that unit is not going to last long against all of these big anti-large units that are nice and healthy with plenty of units models to fight. You see additionally that we charge in here to get as much damage as we can on this Sunmaker. It's important that we get this off the field. I know it's a very valuable piece of artillery, so we just want to get it knocked off the field right away and keep it from doing any more damage to my clumped up units. You'll see that he has been taking shot after shot with this steam tank. It's already up to 20 kills, and he does keep quite a few units in reserve, which are starting to really get into the battle as this frontline armies break down and get routed off. You'll see here that my Gorbel has been routed by Boris Todbringer. Boris has just been flying around the battle, taking as much damage as he can deal, and he is just using that mobility to the fullest. You'll see over there that these Nuln engineers are just blasting with their range charges. These Hammers of Sigmar are just, look at that. I mean, they are doing flying attacks. There is just so much unit detail put into each one of these new units that it really makes for an epic battle. Over here you'll see that Khazrak went a little bit too far in. I got greedy, and now he's being chased out by Boris Todbringer, who's activated Deadly Onset and Foe Seeker. However, I have managed to get my units in here to trap Boris. We're trying to do as much damage as we can, and Khazrak's turned around. He's used his Scourge, he's used Deadly Onslaught as well. So you'll see that the health of Boris starts massively dropping as he gets hit by some poison arrows. The poison effect takes hold. In comes this Bray Shaman, and I'm trying my very best to take Boris out before he can get away, because I know that his healing effects are just going to bring him right back up, as he is nowhere near that healing cap. You'll see here as we continue to each cast massive spells, we're doing tons of damage with this Devolve on his different spear infantry. As this Pit of Shades looks like it did a little bit of damage. It could have hit a little bit more in the center, but he is trying to take out these Bray Shamans before they can do any more spell damage. If we look here in the back, you'll see that he has managed, although I've tied up as many of these archers as I can, he has managed to get around my cavalry. So as these cavalry and these Chaos Warhounds are surrounded, they are not getting to do as many attacks. However, they do get a nice charge here into the back of these Nuln engineers, and I am just trying to get as much value out of them as I can before they are taken down by these massive amounts of spears that he has here in the back line. As you can see, I've kind of made a readout over here with Khazrak and my Bray Shaman. We've got my Cygor over here. We've just got a ton of units which we're trying to keep alive, because each one of these leadership units that goes down is a major hit to the morale of your army. You'll see here that we've got some poison hunters which are just shooting massive amounts of arrows into exposed flanks now that there's no more obstruction. These hammers, these veterans, all of them are taking massive amounts of fire now. But Turin is returning fire. Boris's army is just with these Nuln engineers. I mean, they've got 71 kills already, and I'm doing everything I can to smash these units right into them. However, as you can see, these units have already taken tons of damage, and this crossfire is just going to cause them to immediately break. And these engineers are just going to continue on their bloody reign of terror. Over here, you can look at from the top view, you'll see that I am just slowly condensing my forces, and I am not doing too well. He's got this Sunmaker back online, and it is just doing massive amounts of damage over here. You'll see that he has cast a cool Flaming Skull spell, as well as a Flame Storm, which is just going to be ripping up my units. It's going to take out a ton of these archers, and this is just a massively cool spell, and that is just, I wish I hadn't gotten right in the face. I should be moving my archers back, but I believe I'm microing on another part of the field. If you look over here on the right, this is where I'm still fighting. I've still got a fresh army, Bestigor herd, and these Songors over here. These Bestigor herd with shields, I mean, they're getting in here. They're taking out these long rifles, taking out spearmen. They're covered in blood, and they are not going to stop fighting. They've racked up 92 kills. I mean, each second gets them another kill. And you'll see that even though I'm losing down here in the main fight, I do have some avenues where I'm trying to get in behind these ranged units up on the bluffs. However, it does look like he has decided to bring Boris Todbringer back in. Boris is healed up with his different healing spells. He is coming back in, and you can see he still has some healing to go, about 1,000 more before he reaches the cap. And he is just diving in here, smashing into the back of these different units, taking out my leadership. And even though we've done massive amounts of casualties to his units, these leadership problems that I'm getting from losing all of my major heroes and lords to Boris is not going to leave me well off for the rest of the battle. You'll see here that he did take quite a bit of damage on his steam tank. His Grey Wizard is very low, but each one of my units that we hover over here is broken. They have taken massive amounts of damage from these artillery and these ranged units. This unit of Huntsmen already has 42 kills. These rocket artillery only have 26, but we remember we knocked them off right in the beginning. But I mean, the big ones over here, you see, as I try to charge in, these units of handgunners, free company militia, as well as these Nuln engineers, have just done massive amounts of damage to my units, and there was not much I could do to get him behind because he just had so many spears that were tar-pitting my units. You'll see here that we do have a few units left. I've been hiding in the forest. It looks like he's actually finally got some of these Knights of Mor up here to spot where my legendary Lord Khazrak is. This Khazrak only has 85 health, so we can expect that we'll see him start to try to do something about taking Khazrak off the field very shortly. All of my units in the back here are starting to slowly get knocked down, and while he does have only spearmen and a set of armored swordsmen, my units are a lot more elite, but the leadership hits I'm taking, and oh, with the charge in there from Boris is just doing massive amounts of damage. He's taken the leadership, and almost immediately you'll see with all these unit drops, my units are shaking, and they're going to start to break. They're wavering, they're broken, and that is it for that side of the battle. If we come over here, you'll see that I have brought in Khazrak. He is trying to dive in, dip, dodge, dive, but there is just only 64 health remaining. He is trying to lead the Beastmen to victory here. I figured if we take out this steam tank, he wouldn't have a lot of heavy units left here, but I think it was a major problem bringing Khazrak in, and you'll see that Boris just comes in here and takes him right off of his chariot. Khazrak is no more. The Bray Shaman is broken. There is just breaking units all over the Beastman army. The morale is broken, and the rest of this is just cleanup for the Boris and his Empire forces. I'll go ahead and fast forward here, so you guys don't have to watch the Benny Hill running around. But you'll see that we do get a few shots off. We get a couple of hits in here, but I'm still not able to take out this steam tank no matter how hard I try. I realized later that I probably should have focused on the easier units to route. Most of these units only had a few models left, and so I should have been using these Slongors, which actually are very strong with 140 kills, to do a little bit more damage to the weak units to try to route them off by army losses. You'll see that he just continues to fly Boris around, using that mobility to his advantage. Boris is healed up to his healing cap, but 3,100 health he still has remaining, so I mean that was a huge bonus for him, getting to heal almost back to full after that initial engagement. You'll see here that these units are all surrounded. They've got Flaming Sword of Rune buffing these Leopard Company, the Armored Swordsmen. We're taking huge amounts of leadership hits due to the loss of lords and heroes. There's only 13 remaining. It is amazing at all that these Beast Bestigor herd are even still fighting. If we look over here, you'll see that the Cygor is finally out of ammunition, and he has been tossing boulders the whole match. 89 kills he has. However, without anyone to support him and without any boulders left, he is not going to be much longer for this world. You'll see here as Boris chases him down, all the remaining units are starting to break. You'll see here that the balance of power is completely in his favor. And as that Cygor gets knocked down, there is just nothing remaining for the Beastmen to do but run. I want to go ahead and thank my buddy Turin for fighting this battle with me. I want to thank the maker of the Radious mod for all the excellent work that he did and putting details into these individual units. I also want to thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll go ahead and take a look here at the post-battle wrap-up. You'll see here that we had hundreds and hundreds of kills on many of these units. I mean, this unit here of Slangors was 198 kills. We got 126 on the Pestigors. I mean, a lot of these units, the Gorehoofs, each were able to get 130 kills. I mean, we did massive amounts of kills with a lot of these units, each one having 20 to 50 kills on it. As a total, he took almost 2,300 losses. However, that was just not enough because Boris and his leadership was able to stay on the field and keep these units alive. If you look over here, you'll see that he did quite a lot of damage with his ranged units. You'll see 92 with the steam tank, 62 on this mortar. That was the one that was over. I did not take that one out as early. He's got all of these Hochland long rifles with 150 total. This unit of Nuln engineers with over 200 kills, 110 between these huntsmen. There is just a ton of kills spread out across these ranged units, which got about half of the kills. You'll see I only took 1,800 losses. I had 266 remaining. So I do feel that if I had babied my leadership a little bit more and been a little bit more careful instead of charging him in on his chariot, I think I would have been able to seize the day. Thank you all again for tuning in. Please subscribe below for more great online battles. This is Black Iron, and I hope you've enjoyed another one of Black Iron's battles.